Do you feel you are a part of the nature that you seek to protect? For the forest dwellers of India that have carried this sentiment since birth, the government seeks a different reality. We would like to tell you a short story about Kalahand, a district off the eastern coast of India. At present, Indian forestry laws require tribal communities to show proof that the forest land that they live on has traditionally been a part of their community. This gives them the freedom to collect and sell all sorts of forest produce that is available on that particular patta of land. Now, of course, given the state of affairs, this proof is often hard to obtain. But two villages in Kalahand managed to succeed in obtaining theirs. You would now expect that a significant portion of their troubles in asserting economic agency would have been alleviated. Not really. They now have to show a state transit permit to take produce out of the forest, even if it is just to the next street. This is just one way that the forest department denies economic freedom to one of the most impoverished and marginalized communities, with more than 45% of India's tribals living below the poverty line. This is not just unique to Kalahand. It is the story of 275 million forest dwellers across India who depend on trade in minor forest produce for their livelihoods. Women in particular are central to the MFP economy as the prime forest produce collectors. Despite the sale of MFPs accounting for 40 to 60% of income for households living in and around forests, India's forest conservation regime has erected barriers in a manner that undermines the prosperity for millions. Forestry in India is both regulated by the union and state governments. MFP is one of the most lucrative resources in the sector, even more so than timber, encouraging state governments to monopolize MFP trade, such as in the case of Tendu leaves in Odisha. The Forest Rights Act 2006 was the first legislation which empowered forest communities with the right over collection, management, and sale of MFPs. A decade and a half later, the implementation of the Act and its provisions are far from realization. A brute majority of states in India have either tried to circumvent the Act or continued with provisions which scuttle trade in MFPs. In its current form, the transit permit is in clear violation of the Forest Rights Act 2006. In order to truly free forest dwellers and recognize community-based environmental stewardship, state governments need to revoke the requirement of the transit permit issued by state forest departments. Under our Keepers of Forest project, the Center for Civil Society's aim is to bring forth the unheard stories of the natural stewards of India's forests. We intend to lay down a conservation path that puts people with nature and not against it. Similar to a potter's molding of earthenware, which depicts how human action can harmoniously work with natural resources, the Center for Civil Society's terracotta vision values natural resources not for their mere existence, but recognizes the relationship between humankind and the environment.